This is a shir on Likutei Sichos, volume 26, Parsha Beshalach, the second Sicha Beshalach. This is a Sicha that starts off with a question with some details, but the crux of the Sicha is going to be very much about trust in Hashem. So it says in the Tur being the predecessor to the Shulchan Aruch, it says in the Tur that Tov Lomar, it's good to say Parshat Haman, the portion that speaks about the manna that fell for the Jews in Egypt, which the reason we're talking about it in this Parsha Beshalach, because this portion of the Torah speaks about the miraculous seeds that came down every day for the Jewish people to eat. No, not every day, not on Shabbos, as we'll see. It's a good to say those chapters from the Torah in your prayers or after your prayers every day. Why? The Beis Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Karo writes, why should you do that? Kidei sheya'amin shekol mizonotav ba'in lo ba'ashgacha. In order to believe that all your food, and this includes all your needs, all your wherewithal, comes ba'ashgacha, comes by Hashem's supervision. The Alter Rebbe in his Shulchan Aruch. So here's something I have to say before, and that is the Alter Rebbe, wrote a Shulchan Aruch. The first 4 chapters of the Shulchan Aruch he wrote twice. There's the Mahadura Kama, the first version, and then there's the Mahadura Batra. He rewrote it again, the second version. So from the first 4 chapters only, we have 2 versions. So in the first version of the Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe writes exactly as we quoted from the Tur. You should say the portion about the falling of the manna every day in order that you should believe that your wherewithal comes from Hashem. He also adds the explanation of the Levush. Rabbi Mordechai Yaffe, who wrote a series of books called Levush, with many background reasons for halachas and so on. So the Levush adds, Shekein hayabaman, the reason you're going to believe in Hashem more, when you remember every day that He sent manna in the desert, because that's the way it worked with the man. Hashem supervised to give every single individual exactly 1 measure per head for all members in his household. When they came home and they measured it in their measurement sticks, in their measurement vessels, the Torah tells us explicitly, the one who thought he collected a lot had exactly 1 omer full for each household member. The person who said, I came home with too little, no, he didn't have too little. There was exactly 1 omer full for each person. So when you say those portions in the Torah, you remind yourself that Hashem is the one who meets out, doles out, who hands out parnasa. However, Alter Rebbe, in his second version, he changes this a little bit. Instead of saying the reason that you say the portion of the man, right? Because you want to believe in Hashem's supervision to give everybody their parnasa, he says something else. You may think it's a subtlety. Same thing. It's not the same thing. He says the reason you say the portion of the man every day, livtoach b'Hashem, to trust in Hashem. Notein lechem dvar yom b'yomo, who gives you your bread day in, day out. So there's 2 differences. Have you noticed there's 2 differences? The first difference is that instead of using the language belief, which the Beis Yosef uses, we say the portion of the man to believe in Hashem. In the second version of this halacha, the Alter Rebbe says, livtoach, to trust. Not to believe, but to trust. It's one difference. The second difference is he doesn't bring that it's about believing in Hashem's supervision. There's even, the Levush uses the language to believe b'hashgacha pratit, to believe in Hashem's individual supervision. He gives everybody exactly what they need. But the Alter Rebbe in the second version of the Shulchan Aruch, where he rewrites this halacha, he says, not believe in Hashem, that He supervises everybody individual. He says, have trust in Hashem, that He gives it daily. So Why the difference? You got the difference. One is belief, and that he gives everybody enough for themselves. The other one is trust, that he gives it on a daily basis. So we could say, says the Rebbe, that there's really one is hinged on the other. The fact that the man, that Hashem had supervision to give each person the exact measure, one measure per household member, and that the one who thought he collected a lot didn't collect more than needed, the one who thought he collected too little didn't have less than one omer per household member. That strengthens the belief of a Jew that his sustenance comes not from his own machinations, from his own kochi v'otzem yadi, from his own might, but they come from the direct supervision of Hashem. As one could see explicitly with the manna, that whatever a man did didn't make a difference. He went, he schwitzed, and he collected tons and tons. He brought some big wheelbarrow fulls of manna. When he measured it, there was one per person. And the other guy, took home a few fistfuls. He thought, I didn't do well today. He had enough. So it didn't make a difference what you did. It's from Hashem. Right? So that's what the manna reminds you. That's belief. Belief that everything's from Hashem. Hashem provides, not me. It's Hashem that provides. What is faith? Faith is different. The concept of faith is, of trust, bitachon, trust, is not just that you believe that your food comes from Hashem, but that you rely on Hashem. It's an action. You rely on Hashem, that Hashem will definitely provide you your food. And this concept of trusting, we learn from the fact that Hashem gave it dependably every single day. You didn't at all have to worry. Every day Hashem was dependable, delivered the food. So, in other words, the fact that it came exactly enough for each one and what you did doesn't make a difference, that helped us believe that Hashem is the one who is responsible. The fact that he was dependable every day, when we remember that aspect, that allows us to be relaxed, to say Hashem's in charge, he provides. So one is belief, it's more ephemeral. As we will soon point that out, we'll soon hone in on this a little bit more. And one is more active, trusting on Hashem, like there's a joke. The guy is hanging onto a bush on the edge of a cliff, and he cries out. The bush doesn't look so strong. He says, anybody up there? Is anybody up there? Please let me know. He hears a voice, says, yeah, I'm God. Let go. I think for saying, says, anybody else up there? Let go. That's trusting in Hashem. When you knew that the man came every single day, and you remember that every day, without fail, Hashem provided man, you can just let go. He's there, don't worry. So now what we have to understand is why in the first version of the Shulchan Aruch did the Alter Rebbe speak about? The Alter Rebbe says the same halacha once in the first version of the Shulchan of his Shulchan Aruch. He writes that this tells us about belief in Hashem. When he rewrites the halacha in his second version of those same laws, he says that the manna reminds us that we can trust in Hashem. Why the change? He started to rewrite the whole Shulchan Aruch.
In Tehillim also it's written two times. One is trust and one is...
The Tehillim is full of all kinds of things. But here we're talking about the same halacha. He says, say the portion of man. The first time he writes it, his initial writing of this halacha is to believe that Hashem gives you whatever you need. What you do doesn't make a difference. He provides for it. B'hashgacha, he supervises it. The second time, when he started to rewrite, and he only rewrote the first four that we have, he rewrote this halacha, he changed the language. Why? It's obvious that there must be something, there's a difference between belief and faith, as we will, belief and trust, as we'll now talk. So, paragraph 2. What should come out, that there's also, I don't want to just speak about a difference in language. This difference in language will also lead us to a difference in halacha, it would seem. Why? Because when we want to talk about the difference between emunah, belief, and bitachon, trust. What is the difference? Emunah, belief, is a constant thing. It's the fact that we believe that we have this belief, this knowledge. We're sure that this is the way things work. This is the way it is. And therefore, even when it's not relevant to anything in actuality, it's a set of beliefs that's always there in my head. This is the way I believe. I believe Hashem takes care. For example, this belief that we want to remember that from the man, that Hashem brings us all our parnasa b'hashgacha with direct supervision. So this is something that a person is always, it's a set of values and beliefs that a person always has. Doesn't matter if he's working right now, not working right now. Even if he's talking about parnasa, not talking about parnasa, it's a, how should you say, it's one of his base core beliefs. It's always there. The belief is, okay, this is the way I believe, and then that's just the way I look at the world. We talk about having trust. That is something that it's a feeling to trust in Hashem. That comes to a person when he needs it. He's about to go into anxiety. Oi, what am I going to eat? And now he has trust. It's going to be okay. Hashem takes care of it. I'm going to worry. Belief is always there. Belief is an ongoing thing. Trust is an action, is an active a muscle that we have to employ to trust Hashem. So when we're trying hard to make our parnasa, we're working, instead of thinking that it's all me, somehow it's just coming from the stratosphere, he trusts Hashem. And he remembers that Hashem will bless you, says the Torah, in everything that you do. Hashem will definitely bless whatever I do in order to make my efforts crowned with success and bring me parnasa, bring me sustenance. However, when a person is, or another time when a person can be activating trust is when things look really bad. It looks like he's in a time of trouble. He doesn't see any way to solve this problem. He doesn't see any natural way to emerge from this danger, to emerge from this problem. So now he has two choices: either to fall into despondency and to yiyush, to give up, or to remember, no, there's a Hashem. I'm gonna have trust in Hashem because he has the ability, he's in charge of the world, he's in charge of nature, he can change nature. Hashem will definitely help me. Ezri, like the verse in Tehillim, Me'ayin yavo Ezri, where will my help come from? It says, Ezri me'im Hashem oseh shemayim. When you ask that question, where? Trust. Your help will come from Hashem who makes heaven and earth. More than that, we know that the bitachon, this it says at many svarim, particularly in Chovat HaLevavot Shara Bitachon, and in the Ikrim from Rabbi Yosef Albo, and in Kada Kemach, it says that actually trusting, and we know from the Tzemach Tzedek, the Alter Rebbe and the Tzemach Tzedek, tracht gut, vetzein gut, think positive, be positive. The Rebbe constantly repeated this. The bitachon, the trust in Hashem, is actually the vessel which draws down the blessing of Hashem. This is also one of the explanations, says the Rebbe here in the square brackets. It's a long square brackets, but it's a very, very important one. This is one of the explanations in the concept of bitachon, trust in Hashem, because it would seem that there's something that's difficult to understand about faith, about trust in Hashem. Why? What does bitachon mean? Bitachon, trust in Hashem, means that a Jew trusts that Hashem will do good for him in a visible and open way. Okay, not that whatever he's doing is really for the good. No. I trust that Hashem will give me my parnasa, and Hashem will give me health, and Hashem will give me the things I need in an open, visible way.
So this is faith. No.
Not just Hashem knows what's good for me, so even, God forbid, if he brings me something difficult, I'm sure he knows it's for my good. No, trust in Hashem is the way the Sfarim talk about trust in Hashem is about trusting that Hashem will do good for me. Now, the question is, the fact that a person is in trouble.
Maybe submissive to the thing, and that it's
Listen to the whole.
calm down.
Listen to the whole gang, the whole mahalach here. Now, if a person's in a place where he needs to activate his trust in Hashem, that means he's in a tough spot. Why is he in a tough spot? Why is he in a place where he needs to hope that Hashem, trust that Hashem is going to do good stuff for him? Maybe he's in a tough spot because he didn't act well. Maybe it's a punishment. Are you so sure? How can you say trust in Hashem? I trust that Hashem is going to bring me everything good. Hello? Were you so good that you think you're going to get everything good? Maybe it's a punishment. Good question, right? Maybe it's a punishment.
Guilty?
Huh?
Feeling guilty?
Maybe it's a punishment, right? We all know we're not perfect. Maybe it's a punishment. So what's the basis for this bitachon? Actually, one of the early scholars, the Kada Kemach, writes, actually, Kol haboteach hu ma'amin. Anybody who trusts in Hashem obviously believes in Hashem. Not everybody that believes in Hashem trusts in Hashem. He could believe in Hashem, but he could actually not trust that everything will work out for the good. He may be scared that he sinned. He said, I'd love to trust that it will work out from Hashem, but I'm not so sure. Maybe I did something wrong. Which means to tell us that full bitachon, we're being told, bitach b'Hashem, bitachon Hashem is that it's going to work out. But how? How are we so sure? On what is it based? Maybe we did something wrong. Maybe we're in a tough spot because it's a punishment. It's a good question, right? And real trust in Hashem means you have no doubt, you're perfectly calm. Everything is going to work out fine and dandy. Hashem is certainly going to help me. Not that Hashem is going to, that even if Hashem punishes me, it's for my best. No. Hashem is going to give me good stuff. If you read the Shara Bitachon from the Rabbeinu Bechaya, you'll see that he speaks about trusting that Hashem wants to do everything. Hashem is good. He wants to do good for you. He's going to do good for you. What are you worried about? Just put your trust in Hashem. Says the Rebbe, but how do we know? What is it based on? Maybe I'm scared because, hey, I'm not perfect. So what's the explanation?
Even it's not Botech Hashem, even that you are evil.
Even if you're evil. Betach b'Hashem. Yeah. So we could say the explanation is, here's the explanation, and this is an interesting thing. You see, we think, sometimes we think it sounds too easy. You mean I can trust in Hashem, and even though maybe I didn't deserve it, didn't earn it, everything will be good? How can that be? We're not used to getting free lunches. If it's for free, it's suspicious. But the truth is, believe me, it's not free. True trust in Hashem? Oh no, that's not easier. It's just better. It's just truer. Easier? I'm not so sure. Says the Rebbe. We could say the explanation like this. When a Jew shows his true faith in Hashem, and by him it's simply that Hashem is going to, believes with implicitly that Hashem is going to do good to him in an open and revealed good, even though that naturally it doesn't look like it's going to work out that way. When a person is able, against all odds, to activate his active trust on Hashem, you know what that does? It draws down from above that Hashem is going to act the same way to him. You trusted me when it didn't look like it? I'm gonna bring it down to you. Mida keneged mida, quid pro quo. And Torah says that this is the way Hashem works. So if you fully surrender to him and rely on him, he's going to say, okay, I'll take care of you. The thing is, it doesn't matter what you did, what you didn't do. However, the thing is that so it's not an easy thing. It's not easier. It's easier, by the way, to be worried. It's easier to be worried, to be panicked. That's easier. We all know it's easier. When something's happening not good, you know what the hardest thing to do is? To try and get it out of your mind and trust in Hashem, everything's going to work out. So then comes your Yetzer Hara and says, but how can I say trust in Hashem? I know I'm not perfect. And look, here's an important thing. This is really a discussion on its own. I'm just going to mention it here now because the question is, right? 1 second, but I did something wrong. How can I depend on Hashem? You did something wrong, you'll deal with that. If you're going to do something wrong now, that means you're not trusting in Hashem. If right now you trust in Hashem, you're not going to go and say, I trust in Hashem and eat, God forbid, something not kosher. That means you're not trusting in Hashem. In other words, we're talking about true trust. If I'm surrendering to Hashem right now, I'm going to do everything Hashem wants. I'm not going to do something Hashem doesn't want. Maybe in the past I did something wrong. Right now, that's not what we're discussing. Right now, you can engage, you can draw down from Hashem. When you are vulnerable and surrender to Him, you'll draw down His midah keneged midah. He's also going to be there for you. But it has to be real, and that's not easy. I saw today in a sefer, I don't know which sefer, but you know, when you just pay lip service, you say, I trust in Hashem, but really your heart is not there. We're talking here about trust.
There is big stories about
Trust is not easy.
Holocaust,
Of course.
about all kind of places that people were like, and there was someone that trusted me.
Of course, of course, at the same time, speaking is also important. The Rabbi points out in another sikha that speaking antitrust is very bad. Don't talk about things not working out. Don't bring that out of your mouth. Even if you're not fully trusting, at least don't speak about your not trust. Okay. At any rate, so what we've said here is that there's a difference between belief and trust. Emuna is something that's always there. Bitachon, trust, is something that you have to activate. It comes either when you're in a tough spot, or it comes when you're engaged in your parnasa, and now you have to remind yourself that it's Hashem. You have faith and trust in Hashem. This we understand. Eis Gimel, paragraph 3. With this we understand that the midas habitach, when we talk about trust in Hashem, in other words, the actual arousal of this attribute is connected with what? Is connected with asking for your needs. In other words, when the person is busy with getting the things that he needs, so he trusts in Hashem. When does his trust come to become activated? Oy, what am I going to eat today? Don't worry, trust in Hashem. That's what bitachon is. It's a reaction. It's an action that is a practical one, which would mean to say, perhaps we should only say it during the weekdays. If it's to activate our trust, maybe we shouldn't say it on Shabbos, because only during the weekdays do we ask for our needs. The man itself didn't come on Shabbos. We don't even pray fully asking for all our needs on Shabbos. Bakashat Tzlachav, Shabbat. We don't do it. So if the man reminds us to trust in Hashem, that's more of an active thinking about Parnasa. Maybe you shouldn't do it on Shabbos. Also during the week, point number 2, even doing it during the week, maybe we shouldn't say it at the beginning of the prayer. You know, we say before Hodu, we say Korbanot. Question is, where should you place this saying the portion of the man, for those that say it? If it's actively trusting in Hashem, in other words, it's about getting our needs, where do you ask for your needs? You shouldn't be asking for your needs before you speak to Hashem. Before Shemona Esrei, we say Baruch Ata Hashem. You praise Hashem. It's not proper to first ask for what you need. That's why the Shemona Esrei is built. The first 3 blessings of Shemona Esrei are praising Hashem, and only then do we ask for our needs. So indeed, it would seem that if it's about bitachon, if it's about activating our trust, which is more actively feeling our needs, and that we trust Hashem for those needs, we should say it after the prayers. However, if the reason is like the Alter Rebbe wrote in his first version, that it's in order we should believe in Hashem's supervision, so you could say it on Shabbos also, because the belief in that Hashem provides parnasa is not an active thing. We believe that on Shabbos also. That belief doesn't start or stop. It's an active, it's a constant. And also, you could say it at the beginning of davening, because it's on the contrary. It's this belief in Hashem is a constant. It doesn't start. It's not like trusting, which is about the actual getting of food, because you're worried, where am I going to get my food? You don't trust in Hashem, which that should, A, probably not be on Shabbos, B, shouldn't be before you praise Hashem in the first three brachas, Shemona Esrei. Whoever says the Rebbe, it requires thought, because, again, we entered this discussion based on the two versions of the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. The earlier version speaks about belief, second version speaks about trust. Said the Rebbe there should be a difference. Trust probably should speak about on Shabbos. Belief could be on Shabbos. That's what the Rebbe says, but using that distinction is difficult, because where the Alter Rebbe speaks about trusting Hashem in the second version, he says say it every day as well. He doesn't exclude Shabbos. How can you say it on Shabbos? If what I'm saying is right, says the Rebbe, that trust is more active, then you shouldn't say it on Shabbos. But the Alter Rebbe does say it on Shabbos. Also, where to say it during the weekdays? So from the language of the Alter Rebbe, it seems that in this details the same what he said in the first version, which is it doesn't matter where you say it. It doesn't have to be dafka. It doesn't have to be said after davening. It could be said together with the karbonis, which is said before davening. So the question is: so we haven't yet explained why the in the first version he speaks about that the man reminds us to believe in Hashem. In the second version, he uses a more active language. The man reminds us to trust in Hashem. And now we're going to get into a fascinating story from the Zohar. Listen to this story, paragraph 4. And we're going to be introduced to a wild concept. I think wild. Let's understand the story of Rabbi Yosef, the elder Rabbi Yosef Saba. And the Zohar says in this week's Parsha, when it talks about the story of the man, the Zohar tells the following story. That Rabbi Yosef, the elder, used to prepare his meal every day. And after his meal was already prepared, he would ask Hashem to send him his food. And what he would say is, and I'll paraphrase from the Aramaic of the Zohar, Lo natkin sudata ad titiyai mebei malka. I won't prepare my meal till it's given from the house of the king, from Hashem. I don't understand, says the Rebbe. The food was there. The food was there. He's about to prepare it, but he's asking Hashem for it. It's there in his house, in his ownership. All he has to do is prepare it. So what does it mean that he would ask Hashem to give him the food? Like, hello, food's there in your kitchen. All you have to do is go set it up on the plate. No, I'm not going to take it till I ask Hashem for it. Well, it's there. He's given it to you already. So we could say the explanation is as follows. First, we want to discuss another topic, a very interesting topic, and that is the story of Yosef HaTzadik. We know that Yosef was punished, right? When he was in Egypt, and he figured out to cipher the dreams prophetically by Hashem, the dream of the butler and the baker. And the Sarah Mashkim, the butler, was released, and he asked the butler, you're going to go back to Paro's service. Please do me a favor. He said two fateful words. His kartani el Paro, remember me to Paro, that I'm languishing here for no reason. V'hotzeitani, second word, v'hotzeitani. Let him take me out of here. 2 words. You know what happened because of those 2 words? He sat in prison for 2 years. And we say, what was the problem? Chazal, our sages tell us, because he didn't show trust in Hashem. Why is he telling the butler to do something for him, to get him out of jail? Rabbeinu Bechaya says, come on, you think that Yosef was guilty, was violating, not trusting in Hashem? He was trusting the butler, you think? Why did he tell the butler to mention him to Paro? Because in his mind, he intended that Hashem obviously set this up. I mean, it's unbelievable. All of a sudden, these guys have a dream. He interprets a dream. The butler's going to Paro. It's like Hashem gave him the perfect setup. It's Hashem, of course, but I got to do my part, says Yosef. I got to tell him, please remember me. So why is Yosef punished? Because he tried to place a direction on Hashem. He tried to find a reason. He tried to find a vehicle through which Hashem could help him. And tzaddikim like Yosef shouldn't look for anything like that. Just trust Hashem. That's why he was punished. He should have just trusted Hashem. The same way Hashem brought the butler and made the setup, Hashem will take care of the rest also. Don't try and grab the steering wheel away from Hashem when you're in a driverless car. In other words, when God's driving your car. He's a tzaddik. He should have just relied on Hashem. So the question about that is, I mean, obviously we all have a big question on that. We know that it explains, even in Chovat Halavavot, which speaks in Shara, be talking about having faith, having trust, depending only on Hashem. He says, but 1 second, don't forget that you have an obligation to look for things naturally that should be the vehicle through which Hashem is helping you. So why is Yosef being punished for something we are all instructed to do? Nobody's allowed to lie back in their bed every morning and say, Hashem will provide. Hashem will provide. Hello, Yankel, you're going to work today? Says his wife, Leah. Says Leah, Hashem will provide. Got to call a psychiatrist for that guy, a psychologist, something. This guy's lost the plot. The Torah tells us, you got to go to work. What's with Yosef? Why are we holding him accountable? Saying he got punished because he did something. What did he do? Said 2 words. So it's explained. The Chassidus explains like this: that there are 2 modes, 2 levels of bitachon. Listen carefully. A, when Hashem's running things from above is in a way that they work naturally. You see, things are humming along naturally. To lose the language of Chassidus, the way they are from the light of Hashem that's called Memale Kol Almin, the imminent light of Hashem, the light that streams through the worlds. You know, things are going according to an orderly fashion. Then you have to work in that orderly fashion and look for cover-ups, for reasons, for vessels, for vehicles in nature to bring down the blessing of God. Because that's the way Hashem sends down his shefa, his flow. He sends down his flow through the cover-up of the things you provide. So you go out to work. He's doing it. You plant your seeds. He's going to make it grow, but you have to plant the seeds. Nature. Then there's another mode. What's the other mode? When you see that from above, things are happening in a way which is not according to nature. To use Chassidus language, it's Sovev Kolamim. The light of Hashem here is kind of blowing away the world. It's transcendent light. So then you need to rise to the occasion and have a higher level of bitachon. In totally relying on Hashem. Only relying on Hashem and not to do anything but rely on Hashem. Definitely Hashem will himself bring the vehicle to help you as well. In other words, it could be, and this could happen to anybody, even somebody who's not tzaddik like Yosef, where something just beyond your control. I read some stories about the Holocaust where things were spiraling out of control. So the person just decided, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to see which way it goes. There's nothing I can do. It's out of my control. And the Rabbi brings in a footnote here. When a person is clear and confident that things are happening in a unusually godly way, like totally beyond any normal thing, to say, look, I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm not gonna try and grab the steering wheel. It's not called ein somchin al hanes. It's a very important thing. Usually we have a rule: don't rely on a miracle. Do what you can naturally to save it. If somebody sees that Hashem's at the steering wheel, and I guess it doesn't happen probably often, maybe it never happens to somebody, but in this case of Yosef, that would be a case where it was crazy. These crazy things happen to him, and then right now let Hashem continue to steer. It's not called relying on a miracle when you let Hashem stay at the steering wheel, because he's shown you, mix out. I'm taking you to your destination. Again, that's usually not the way it is for us. For Yosef HaTzadik, he was always at that level. He was always at the higher than Teva level. So he had to conduct himself in that way of bitachon. For him, it didn't. For any other guy in that story of Yosef, I guess it would have made sense to say those 2 words. That would have been the right thing to do. Yosef was a higher level tzaddik. He always had to be at the level where just Hashem will take care. Okay. This difference, paragraph 5, this difference is not just the way we rely on Hashem and that He can make us the vehicle for the salvation or for the parnos of whatever it is. This is also when we do put forth our own efforts to elicit Hashem's bracha. In other words, the fact that when in usual life we have to make a vehicle to bring down Hashem's flow, the reason for that is because the way Hashem operates from above is that He sends His energies and flow down according to nature. So in that case, basically what Hashem's saying is that the ways of nature, the vehicles of nature, all are important. So you have to look how to do it, get a job, find something natural to be able to elicit, to be a cover-up for Hashem's supernatural flow that He wants to send you. However, if somebody's on a higher level, that he's really expected to do nothing but trust in Hashem. So all of these natural vehicles and schemes mean nothing to him. I mean, he doesn't have to look for a natural way to survive. And even when Hashem sends it to him in a natural way, for him, that all he sees there is Hashem. And therefore, even when there is a natural vehicle to provide him with his parnasa, his parnasa doesn't become any closer because now he sees how it can work. Because the way it comes, the vehicle it comes by, has no meaning to him. All he sees is Hashem. He gets everything from Hashem in his mind. Didn't you see that it came because you did this, that? I don't know. All I see is Hashem. Yeah, I do whatever I'm supposed to do, maybe, but directly from Hashem. That's why Rabbi Yosef, the elder, even when he had his food, the fact that he already had it, he doesn't, I don't care, I have it, I don't have it. I know my food comes from Hashem. He was at that level of communion with Hashem. Don't tell me, I don't know from you, mister. I know from Hashem. Hashem, can I have food? Oh, there's food right here. That's you sending me the food. That was Rabbi Yosef's level of bitachon. He felt that it was directly given, even though it was in his house, it was still coming directly from Hashem, and he asked from Hashem for it. Now Hashem is giving it to him after he asked for it. So that's a very high level of bitachon in Hashem. Now we'll understand also.
But point I know, if the food is there, if the food is there, it's not.
The food being there for him, if the food wasn't there, he'd ask Hashem for food.
If someone knock on the door and give him food. This is more trust.
No.
If it's happening.
No. For him, it doesn't make it is here or it isn't here, it's all the same. It's Hashem providing.
גם כשהוא רואה את זה, הוא מאמין שזה לא ממנו, זה עוד יותר גבוה, זה כמו דוד המלך.
Yeah. When it's not there, he asks it for Hashem, and then it shows up. It doesn't matter how it shows up. He knows from Hashem. When it's here, how it got here is as meaningless as if it's not here. Oh, Hashem, can I have food? Oh, it's here. Thank you. You gave it to me. He doesn't interact with the intermediaries at all. They don't mean anything to him. High level. It's directly from Hashem. That would explain, says the Rebbe in paragraph 6, why the Zohar says he used to do it every day. Sounds like he did it on Shabbos also. 1 second. Shabbos, you're not supposed to ask for your own needs. Shabbos, we don't ask for things. So how could it be that Rabbi Yosef is asking, Rabbi Yosef the elder is asking for his mezainis, for his food also on Shabbos? Now, according to this, we'll understand. What kind of request are you not supposed to make from Hashem? That's when a person is asking for himself. He wants to have his needs met. Rabbi Yosef Sava is such a high level of relationship with Hashem. All he feels, he doesn't feel himself, he feels Hashem. Memela, so like the Zohar says, about such a behavior, it says, these are the people that are always hinged and waiting only for the kindness of Hashem. The mitzapan umachakan, they literally yearn and wait every single day to ask their sustenance, their mezonos from Hashem. In other words, the whole reason that he's asking is not even for the food. It's to be from those that show that everything comes from Hashem. It's not so much about what I need, it's about that I want to be connected to his chesed. That kind of tefillah you can do also on Shabbos. And the Rebbe brings here, there's a similar concept in general from the Maggid of Mezrich. You should really pray for the koved, the heaviness, which means what's lacking in the Rosh, Hashem. When there's a lack down below, it's because somehow the Shekhinah hasn't fully come down and manifest. When Hashem, wherever Hashem is, there's no lack. So if there's a lack below, really what it means is that there's a lack in Hashem's Shekhinah descending below. Pray for Hashem. Pray for the diminishment of Hashem's presence here on earth. Don't pray for what you need. What do you need? Who are you anyway? All you are is an actor to do what Hashem wants. If you're missing something, it means really Hashem's work here on earth is missing something. Hashem's manifestation on earth, Hashem's revelation on earth is not complete. So pray for that incompleteness that there is in the Shekhinah, so to speak. Oi, Hashem, I want you to be complete. There should be a flow from even higher to what's called Shekhinah, which will, if everything's fine up there, it'll be fine down here too. But that means you put yourself as being unimportant. Think about what is it Hashem needs here, that Hashem wants it. And if that's lacking, but that's not really praying for yourself. You don't feel anxiety that you're missing something. Praying for him, it's a much higher level of communion and connection with Hashem. Bitul. So if somebody's in that level of bitul, bakashat have to ask on Shabbos is not really asking for himself. When we ask on Shabbos, we're not supposed to ask for our needs on Shabbos because it means we feel we're lacking something. You're going to get anxiety. You're turning to Hashem to ask him for it. Shabbos, just relax. But here, this is not anxiety or anything. This is Hashem. I'm everything I have comes from you. I just want everything to always come from you. It's a different level. Paragraph 7. Even though that this behavior of Rabbi Yosef Sava is not something that everybody can achieve, but a little bit of it is appropriate for everybody. Can be felt by everybody, at least in certain times. The Rabbi says we know that the Gemara says, what is Hashem asking from you? Just to fear Hashem. Moshe Rabbeinu says to the Jewish people, what does Hashem want from you? Only to fear Hashem. The Gemara asks, it sounds like a small thing. Is fearing Hashem so small? Yeah, for Moshe it's small. So the Rebbe asks in Tanya, but Moshe is speaking to the Jewish people. So what do you mean it's small? For him it's small, but not for them. The Rebbe says famously that in every year there's a little Moshe. So we have a little bit of Moshe spark in us. So even things means we have a little tzaddik spark in us. So even something like Rabbi Yosef Sava, the elder Rabbi Yosef, who had such an implicit trust in Hashem, even when food was there for him, it was coming from Hashem, we would ask Hashem for it. We could also relate to it. We have that little spark of tzaddik in us, like Moshe Rabbeinu, we could relate to it, at least in certain times. The Yesh Lama says that we could say that that's the difference between Shabbos and weekday. During the 6th day of the week, so then a Jew is, like it says in Shulchan Aruch, he has to go to work, he has to do his business with integrity, he has to try and make a living, and then he's supposed to trust in Hashem in a way where he trusts in Hashem and looks for a vehicle to draw down the blessing of Hashem. That's the way it's meant to be. You can't tell him, I want you to be at the level to be totally higher than even looking for any means of drawing down Hashem's flow. Just trust in Hashem. For the average Jew, he's meant to go work every day. But Shabbos, which is not a day of work, but a Jew is higher than work. So then we can have, a little bit of that feeling that we're all miyachalim l'chazde, we're all waiting and hoping for Hashem's chesed. We're not worried at all. We're just recipients of Hashem's absolute kindness without any worry. So we could say now that if that's the level of Shabbos, that in Shabbos we can reach this higher trust in Hashem, where the trust is not leading to anxiety. It's not trust that comes because we're worried. It's trust, a higher level of trust. Of Rabbi Yosef, it's a level where we are so dependent on Hashem that we're not even motivated to do anything to try and bring down the blessing of Hashem. No, we're higher than that. Hashem's everything. We're just kind of basking in Hashem's presence, looking forward to His kindness. Now we can explain maybe why the Alter Rebbe, we spoke about the portion of the man. In the first version of the Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe was writing. Here's another thing to know. Why did when we said Alter Rebbe wrote two versions, we only have the first 4 chapters of the second version. The first version, the tradition is that he wrote more according to the Gemara and the Poskim, according to the revealed part of Torah. In the second version, he started to rewrite the halachas more based on Pnimiyut Torah, on the way the Zohar, the Mekubalim felt. And you can see it when you go through the 4 things, you'll see that there are certain things he wrote in the second version where they're very Kabbalistic. So here, like in the first version, where he's writing basic according to the Gemara and according to the halachic deciders. So since the in that level, trust in Hashem is very active, is very hinged on actually feeling your need and then trusting Hashem. If he would write about saying the prayer of the man is about trusting in Hashem, he would have to say you don't say it on Shabbos. So that's why he says, no. Let's also look at the man, and he wanted to write you should say it every day, because that's maybe what his predecessors wrote. So he says, say it every day because that will lead you to belief in Hashem. Belief is also on Shabbos. The second version, when he started to write about more like the Mekubalim, more in the deeper esoteric parts of the Torah, there he's already speaking. When he speaks, you should say the Parshat Amam to show your trust in Hashem. He's also speaking about trust that's the higher level trust, like Rabbi Yosef, and that you can do on Shabbos also. So that's why he says, trust in Hashem, that Hashem will give you every day, because that higher level of trust doesn't mean you can't do it on Shabbos. It doesn't mean you feel a lack. It's a higher level of trust. The thing that Rabbi asks, so there's 2 questions. First of all, it would seem that although we spoke about the saying the portion of man every day, the Rebbe does bring, the Alter Rebbe didn't bring it into his siddur. So as a practical daily prayer, we don't, Minhag Chabad, we don't say it. The Alter Rebbe would have put it into the actual siddur. However, the concept definitely remains, and many Sfarim it says you should say it either every day or once in a while, even if we're not saying it, but we have to be mindful always of the man, because that's the basis of trust in Hashem. Another point that the Rebbe points out is, what we just answered is that when the Rebbe says, the Alter Rebbe says that in the second version of the Shulchan Aruch, he writes, the reason is to trust in Hashem. He's speaking about a higher level of trust, and that's why it could be even of Shabbos. The Rebbe says we have to still take into account that in the famous story of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai and Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai says, hey, everybody can be like me. Study Torah and Hashem will provide. Just study Torah all day. Rabbi Shimon Yochai even proved it to his students. He says, he went out to the valley, he says, Bika it malim dinrezov, valley, fill up with golden coins. And it filled up. He says, you guys, we can just learn and Hashem will provide. Rabbi Yishmael said, no, it's not going to work that way. We have to plant, harvest, and study. And it says many tried to do it like Rabbi Shimon Yochai, they couldn't reach that level. Because it requires full surrender and trust and faith in Hashem. It's a higher level. Many did like Rabbi Yishmael, where the natural way, work and learn, and it did work. So the Rebbe is questioning on his own answer, saying to say that the Alter Rebbe is telling every Jew that on Shabbos they can reach this high level of trust. We have to think about it a little bit more, because it would seem from the Gemara that not everybody could reach that. But anyway, the thought, the concept here remains, and what we've gained, whether or not we understand fully the Alter Rebbe's nuanced expression, we definitely, the Rebbe took us on a journey on what does it mean to believe that we all believe. The action and the hard work of trust to the point where, you could say, oh, I'm not nervous. No, I trust in Hashem. I'm not nervous. Hello. I'm not nervous. Don't tell me I'm not nervous. I see you're nervous. So it's to really trust takes a lot of work. And when you do that work, it's not a shortcut, but if you do that work, Hashem does it. Hashem reciprocates us. You trust in me fully. I'm there for you. Don't worry. I'm there for you. So, and then the Rebbe took us through the fact that there's even different in bitachon. There's levels where it can be such a dependence on Hashem where you're not supposed to do anything. Be careful with that, because usually we're supposed to do something, unless you're at the level of Yosef. But it seems that even at the regular Jewish regular level of a Yid, there could be times where he sees that it's a runaway train. So Hashem's taking care of this. Just trust Hashem. Sometimes it says even, don't even daven. There's a level, doesn't bring it here. In other places that brings, where Chizkiyahu, the king, says, Ani Asher al mitati, I'm just going to go to sleep. When Hashem makes the whole war, he takes care of getting rid of Sancherev's army. Yeah. No, it's a higher level. Ani Asher al mitati is a higher level. No. Sometimes, though, no, but the point being in that story that sometimes full trust in Hashem to the extent where you're not even supposed to do something for that. The Rebbe quotes here in his in a footnote, the Rebbe references a letter from the previous Rebbe where he writes to somebody, you have to trust in Hashem. And he says you have to have faith even when it doesn't look like there's any way for it to work out. To the extent, if there's a little way you think it may work out, that's not full bitachon, that's called tikva, hope. And particularly, there's an allusion to the red string that Rachav placed outside her home in Jericho and Yericho. And that's called tikvat chut hashani, the hope of the small red thread. Now, did she really think that red thread's going to save her? Is it going to blow away? Are they going to remember? Are they going to keep their word? She didn't know. But at least she had some small sliver of hope. Said the Rebbe, that's not yet bitachon. When you have something to hinge your hope on, that's okay. Full bitachon is when you have nothing to hinge your hope on and you trust him. Then continues the previous Rabbi, says, there are some people that do that, but you see them and you see the weight of the shoulders on the weight of the world on their shoulders. They walk around. You see they're nervous. They're worried. He says, you know what the Baal Shem Tov really teaches us? You know the way we have to be. We have to be without a care in the world. You have to look so carefree because you trust in Hashem. Even when there's nothing to rely on. That's Aveda. That takes work. You do that work, though, you open up the flow from heaven and everything's good. Thank you.